Thank you. Great. Our next presenters are coming all the way, flying in from SFO. Jennifer and Erin. Oh, good. Not too far away. So Jennifer Acton is currently the Environmental Operations Manager for SFO. For nearly a decade, she's supported the airport in achieving environmental compliance obligations while stretching SFO's bold 5-year strategic plan to design and operate a water-balanced and zero-waste campus. During her tenure, Jennifer has grown her role from a chemist, focusing on protecting campus-wide water quality, to overseeing the airport's bay pollution prevention and green business programs, and now is SFO's first environmental operations manager. Erin is the sustainability director for SFO, and she serves as the organizational champion who integrates sustainability thinking into every division, section, and individual by creating a shared understanding of the holistic impact of an airport. And in this capacity, she's responsible for the development, management, and administration of sustainability policies and practices for SFO. They will share about achieving zero SFO's journey. Welcome, Jennifer and Erin. Yeah.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to join you here. This is kind of fulfilling a personal dream. I am sharing the stage with some of the musical greats. I wish I could sneak behind into the green room, which is having a new theme today, but I won't go there. So this is a really great opportunity for us and a really great honor to be able to share more about the environmental work and leadership of your hometown airport. How many of you have flown out of SFO in this last year? Yes, as you can see with the show of hands, we are largely an origin destination airport, so a huge amount of our passenger traffic comes from the great people that are in this room as well as throughout the 9-county Bay Area, and we want you to feel that kind of honor and presence of the environmental leadership of the cities you represent, your own environmental ethic as you're traveling through our airport. We're very intentional about that, and though the focus of this conversation is not really to feature all of the environmental attributes of the work that we're doing. We're really just going to give you a deeper dive and a preview into something most interesting or of import, which is about SFO's approach to go to zero waste. So you may or may not know just some quick facts about our airport. We are a part of a department of the city and county of San Francisco. We're very honored to be part of the city family, and that really is kind of the scaffolding for the environmental work that we do, and particularly the zero waste work that we're embedded in. That is because the city gets to take advantage of the precautionary principle and SF approved and the municipal green building code and all of those great attributes that help enable us achieve our goals. So we're starting off great. We've got really this green gold standard in terms of the environmental work that we're doing. Beyond that, we are a huge airport. We're a large campus. We're about 5,000 acres. 2,500 is part of our larger campus that serves the passenger public. The other 2,500 is either underwater or is actually supporting endangered species across 101. So we call that the West of Bayshore property. We also serve about 56 million passengers on an annual basis. And we have 180 concessionaires and 46 airlines. Our average passenger is spending about $28 while they're at our airport, so consuming a great amount of material while they're on our campus. Pretty significant, right? Wow, okay, I didn't think I was gonna get that kind of reaction, but yeah. Maybe because things are a little bit more expensive at the airport, but just a little bit. But in addition, you know, they're on vacation, right? They're taking the once-in-a-lifetime journey to wherever they wanted to travel, and so to some degree, they're letting loose of the goal or maybe their own intention around conservation when they're traveling through our airport, which is a challenge and a burden that we bear that we will kind of walk you through relative to the zero waste work that we're doing. So SFO has long, I mentioned already, been involved in environmental sustainability and social responsibility. So we actually, in addition to serving the 56 million passengers that we have, we also have, we're an employee center, an employment center for 43,000 people that call SFO their home base on a daily basis. And our environmental work has really been embedded and threaded throughout the airport's history. Most recently and probably most relevantly to many people, when you think about SFO and you think about the passenger experience that you have, you probably think about Terminal 2. So Terminal 2 was built in 2011, and it was the first LEED Gold campus terminal project in the entire world. And through T2, we were very intentional about making sure that we were being as sustainable as possible, obviously in pursuing LEED Gold, making sure that we were taking advantage of the LEED program, so reducing materials through construction and demolition debris. So thank you for Zanker, which continues to support our program in achieving about a 90% diversion through C&D materials. But in addition, also making sure that we had really holistic and comprehensive sustainability programs that were focused on zero waste. So we didn't have any landfill bins that are available to the traveling public. We made sure we had a sustainable food and beverage policy, and a lot of other things that we don't have time to go into right now. But we also, like many organizations and cities, worked on adopting a larger portfolio of environmental standards through our sponsoring organization or our industry group called the Airport Council International that was focused more on the triple bottom line of sustainability, which is very important to the airport and really part of the nexus of the work that we do. We wanted to go above and beyond that. We always, as an airport, are intentional about stretching and creating what we call now big, hairy, audacious goals in programming the work that we're going to do in the future. And so adopted what we call these BHAGs, which were about zero. So zero waste, zero net energy, and carbon neutrality, and then also, as Jennifer was introduced, water balancing. And then that basically became embedded in the task and the charge of all of our project teams through our strategic plan objectives, which were adopted through 2021. So our bold goal is really the way that the airport does its business and does its work. We set a big task, just like JFK said, we're going in the moon. SFO set its own moonshot, and that moonshot was focused on zero. And so like any other organization, we also knew that we needed to work on understanding where we're at right now and the complexity of zero. And what we found is that we were achieving really great targets relative to energy, carbon, water, but where we really were struggling was relative to waste. And so what we did a little bit more digging, and what we found is that those passengers that are spending about $30 every time they're in our terminals are generating about a half a pound of trash every time they're in our system. And so we look to calculate and measure and really break apart what is the detail and the componentry of the materials that they are generating. And we found that we're still generating a lot of landfill, a lot more than we originally anticipated, particularly as we kind of pivoted from a waste contract that was focused on end-of-life separation versus source separation here at the airport. And so we worked on building out a plan to help us figure out what the vision and the pathway is for us to move ahead by launching and initiating a collaborative team across departments to build out the airport's first zero waste plan. As far as we're aware, I think we're the only airport in the entire world that has a zero waste plan. We actually left a copy, I know we shouldn't have any materials or waste here, but of just the first kind of executive summary out on one of the tables if folks are interested, and it's going to be on our website very soon. But here to preview that for you is Jennifer Acton and give you some of our early steps. Nope, it's okay.
So as Erin mentioned, that once we created this plan, we realized we didn't have good information on which tenants were using which material recovery areas. Can you hear me? Am I good? Okay. Or what collection systems were available in each. So it turns out they didn't either. So we mapped it, and we didn't stop there. We actually mapped our all of our trios and receptacles across the terminal spaces. We had about 1,000 to understand those points of collection by our custodial team. Okay. So as we mapped each of these areas, we quickly learned that we didn't know what went where, and it was due to the lack of signage, and we weren't providing the services needed where tenants were depositing their waste. So, for instance, compost collection in particular was limited, where it was really important to have. So we dug deeper and did a waste characterization study to find out that in some of these areas, 80% of the materials going to landfill could have been composted. So it was a rude awakening for us, and this actually applied through the terminals as well, where trios were both inconsistent with signage, icons, graphics, and so few were grouped into trios. So we developed new signage and bins. We hosted focus groups and did a study to make sure we had the right icons and messaging, and it deployed this across our campus in passenger-facing areas, concession, back-of-house areas, and within our material recovery areas. So, and as we roll out our new bins, which you see as the next, they're currently in T2 and they're really pretty, we will reuse our current assets in much-needed areas across the campus, such as our rent-a-car center and our AirTrain stations and parking garages. So this became our new campaign. We hosted monthly training sessions with our tenants on how they can help SFO and their businesses achieve zero. So our last training session alone, there was 70 employees from Team SFO to learn about our material management program. So, but we have so many materials that as an airport we can't handle. So we created a handy guide to demystify those larger, bulkier items. A lot of them come from TSA and other areas and just end up in our material recovery areas, and we wanted to divert this from our material streams. So it's been a long-standing issue. We've partnered with our duty managers, our concession managers to make sure and address this and train our tenants prior to starting a new enforcement program, which has hefty fines associated for noncompliance. So, partnership. The basis of our work to go zero is partnership. Our Green Business Program is that gateway to support tenants in not just achieving zero waste, but also dramatically reducing their water and their energy consumption usage in their leasehold spaces. So this program, as Erin mentioned, is heavily focused on source reduction and green purchasing, as well as all tenants have to adhere to our sustainable food policy and offer recyclable and compostable items where we are still, we prefer having reusable. But this is just a snapshot, quick view into what we're currently doing at the airport. We have a ton of work ahead of us, and we look forward to providing you guys an update in the future. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
Great. I'm sure there's lots of questions. We have time for one brief question. Maybe. Okay. Oh, I see Steve there. Wait. Jenny, can you, Steve, repeat?
Can you briefly highlight your recent RFP to procure reupholstery for the airport?
I cannot. I'll talk to you offline. I think the goal is reusing furnishings whenever we can, but that was done by our architecture department.
Great.
Thank you. You got it.